Now, I guess I should bring in YouTube here. So there we go. So just real quick to YouTube, hey, we're going to do a class tonight on the intro to RGB. I'm sorry, intro to RGB is the topic, but we're going to talk about the introduction to the submodel and the dialog box and kind of organizing things in the submodel dialog so that you can get the most out of it for putting things towards your mapping of sequences and getting ready for the season. So a lot of this is not hard stuff to pick up on, but if you're new, or even if you're somebody who's maybe you're going to watch along and kind of follow along and get some different ideas, maybe you'll see me do something that you haven't seen done yet. So if you have comments, throw them in the comments. I do have the comment screen open up, and if you want to join us, you can jump in to the PPD Zoom room. We will have a Q&A after this, so you're welcome to ask questions then, and we don't record or televise those. So let's go ahead and I'll share my screen here. I don't think anybody can see it just yet. Number 5. Here we go. And again, we're not doing anything crazy. We're working with, I want to say, the basics. And so the submodel dialog can be found in every single model. Every model that xLights makes creates a dialog for you, and in order to select it, you need to select the model from the model list. Obviously, I only have one here, but we can see that we have some functions here down here at the bottom. We have a faces, we have a dimming curve, a states, a submodel, and an aliases. We're going to work in the submodel dialog. Now, that just popped open over on my other screen. I'll pull it back over here. And if you saw the thumbnail on the video, or you saw the thumbnail whenever I posted on YouTube, this is or on Facebook rather, this is the screenshot that I captured from earlier today. And basically, whenever you want to add a submodel, you have a couple buttons here. To add a submodel, you're just going to click the add button. If you have a list of these, you can delete submodels, you can copy submodels. You have an action button, performs actions on submodels, and then we have import and export. And then we have up here a name field. We also have 2 different tabs here. We have a node ranges tab and we have a subbuffer tab. And this subbuffer, if you're familiar with the sequencer tab, this subbuffer is also in xLights. It's a buffer itself, and they've actually taken the pieces of the buffer that are in here, and you can create subbuffers that are kind of automatically generated if you want, or you can manually create your own subbuffers. I'm really not going to get into this a whole lot. This isn't. I don't think this is. I don't think this is 100. It's definitely useful. I don't think it's 100% necessary to go through all of that. So if we go back to our node ranges, we realize that we have one line here, and when we click on this box, we have the ability to begin physically typing, or we can double click and it will open up, or if we double click on the side box here where it says bottom, it will open up this dialog button. Now, this is the old way that we used to create submodels, and that would have been the way that you would have started selecting pixels, and all you would have done was you would have double clicked on a model or a pixel number, and you would have just gone through and selected them. And as you select them, you'll see here 44 through 47, it shows up at the bottom. Now, one of the things that we learned over time and dealing with submodels, and they're fun to play with, and they're fun to build, and they're a terrific thing to have inside xLights. However, we learn things as we go, and probably in about 4 or 5 years ago, we ended up there's a lot of pixels that look off, Dale. This is not the greatest model, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it. So if you consider that we learned issues as we go, and we fixed issues as we went, the developers gave us a pixel checkbox that said, or a checkbox that says ordered selection. And if I I'm just going to click and drag here, right click, and maybe I can't do that. I'll just unselect them here. What we learned is that sometimes the numerical order meaning 47, 46, 45, 44, was not exactly the order that the pixel was going to travel, or the data was going to travel from one light bulb to the next light bulb to the next light bulb from each pixel. So they added this ordered selection. So now whenever you click on the ordered selection and then you double click on each one of these numbers that you want to create as a submodel, this would be how you would create a submodel back in the day, and xLights would build this for you in ordered selection. So the selection that you ordered, it would double click and put it down below. And when you click OK, it would transpose this into something that made sense for xLights to create. Now notice it says 47-43. That quite literally means there's sequential pixels that are in succession going backwards, or reverse counts. So it's counting from 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, and that's the last pixel in the line. So once you have some submodel data there, we have a couple other functions here. You have what's called bottom row, which is the main row, but you could have multiple rows of props, of submodels stacked into one submodel. So you could add another row, and that will put one down below. Now this one becomes the bottom, and if you wanted to, you could double click on the title there, and then you could begin again order selecting these. Now this is so notice how the other one was 47, 46, 45, 44. Now it says 34, 35. Oops. Let me take that off of there. 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. So notice how in ordered selection, it remembered that we did ordered selection last time. So that's, if you don't want ordered selection, you have to turn it off between them. Notice how it put them in the order that you selected. We'll click OK. And now if we apply an effect, it should start here on this first pixel and work its way out. And if we stack all of these, it should do the same thing for all of them sequentially. We can delete a row if we want to delete a row. We can reorganize the rows by using the arrow up and down icon buttons there. You have a reverse row, which means maybe we want them to go in reverse. Maybe we want them to start on the outside and go inside. And so to do that, you would just select the row and you could reverse the row. You could do some really interesting things with this as well. I'll show you that after we do the rest of these. But then we also have sort row, which I really haven't used very much. And then there's draw mode. Draw mode is fun. You can draw over here. If you have a matrix or something, you can draw little things in there and create whatever pattern that you want, and it'll create a submodel for it, and you can apply effects to it. So it's a nice little addition. But I want to kind of get into the other side of the submodels, which would be adding another row and doing it the way that we do it now, pretty much more modernized. So the development team fixed this box so that you could now zoom in here, and if you use your mouse wheel clicker, if you click on you can click on your mouse wheel, and you might not be able to see that very well, but you can click on your mouse wheel and move this, hold this screen and move it wherever you want. And this allows you to come in here and begin clicking and dragging. Now, whenever you're clicking and dragging, notice the order that the pixels are coming in. If you come over here and you hover over top of the pixel nodes, you see that they're numbered just by hovering over top of them. So you can see that the center one here, we built all the other ones from the center out. That's just a habit that I've formed over the years. I'm very consistent over anything that I end up creating as far as a submodel goes. I always build a submodel the same way, unless I'm looking to do something special or different or get different results. And you can do that. There's nothing to stop you. But this is one way that you do an ordered selection, is just by clicking and dragging. And you can continue on through all of this by doing these one selection rows. So with that being said, if you see there, I just grabbed two of them at the same time. If you accidentally grab one, then what you do is you hold the shift key down and you can click and drag, and it will erase the one that you accidentally selected when you did. Because what will happen is if you grab two pixels at the same time, it will put them in numerical order, lowest to highest. If you grab these two pixels here and put them together, maybe this one is lower and this one is higher, then that would be okay. But in this case, this one's higher and this one's lower, and it would put it in wrong. So you'd want to erase the second one and then just redo that. So it has that reverse to it. So it is, ordered selection is rather important in building submodels. And now, why am I showing you this whenever I know there's some of you folks that are out there sitting there saying, but aren't there really cool tools and xLights that help us build submodels? And there certainly are. I'm going to I'll come back to the reversing rows here in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to come up here where it says the name field. I'm gonna put arms on this. I'm gonna rename this to arms. Arms A, because we're going to do another one here, and we'll call it Arms B. And so now what I want to do is I want to do the exact same thing. I want to start somewhere that is, in my brain, I usually start in the same place, the same location for all my props. Usually it's in the center, and I work my way out, because I like to do like a shockwave effect on my props. So this is one way that I might do that. With the submodels. So I'm going to just create my first submodel here, and then over in this dialog box we have a few functionalities, and probably the one that's the most exciting or the most useful or the most fun to play with is the Symmetrize or rotational submodel builder. And this is kind of like, I don't want to call it AI, but it's an intelligent way for xLights to go read through the model and pick out models or submodels based on the model that you've already built. And what xLights will do is it will find the pattern that you've got, and it will apply that pattern to the rest of the model to see if it can find other ones exactly like it. And if you have a symmetrical prop and you do this with your props, especially the high definition ones, this is a very fast way to help you create some of these submodels. So with that being said, we have created one. This spinner happens to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 arms on it. So what we'll do is the degree of symmetry is 12. So it should be symmetrical 12 times around with these arms. I'm going to go ahead and hit 12 in here, and I'm going to click OK. And I don't know what squarify aspect ratio means. Should the center node be identified? I'll hit yes. We can always go back and do it again if it doesn't work. But as you can see, with just some basic, simple clicks and drags, basically, we've come up with a few submodels. Now, as I click these, I'll zoom out here. I zoomed in a little bit too much there. But as you can see, as I can click on each one of these individually, and you can see them built. Now, again, this is an older model. The model was probably made back in 2017-ish, and we are appreciative of the fact that somebody built models and shared them with people, so we didn't have to do them ourselves. So forgive them if they don't have everything perfect and nice and neat. Back in the day, we just did enough to get us by, and nowadays we like to have things a little bit more pixel perfect, I guess you could say. And so there is your rotational of submodels. Now, the other thing that is interesting about this is the ordered selection. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this set of submodels, and I'm going to come over here and create a new sequence. And we're just going to quickly play with a few with a basic effect, okay? And this is one of the reasons why submodeling is so very powerful. If we open up and create a new sequence, and we open this up here, and we look at the submodel dialog, or we look at the submodels in the list, rather, we can come up here. I'm going to grab the single strand effect, and I'm going to pop it onto the model. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to light up the model. Let me put something on here. Here we go. This is just a background color to turn it on. There we go. So you can see the model in kind of lit up, if you will. And I'll use a darker color there. That should work. There we go. And we'll put this over here. And what you can see here is we have the single strand effect, and I don't have the layer setting box. Let me bring this over here. And this can go away. No, maybe this one needs to go. There we go. And we need this one instead. Or not. We'll use this one. The model preview looks a little better. Whoop. Okay. With the setup that we're looking at, we can change the render style. And at the moment on the model, we can go with a per preview. And if we put a per preview render style on this, you can see the green line going from left to right just on the submodels and not the entire model. So that outer ring there, we haven't done the outer ring yet. That's up for grabs. We still can go do that. But per preview, we've got the single strand effect going across everything. Let me make that a little bit bigger. And that way you can see it a little better. And let's get rid of the dark color. There we go. That should be good. So this is one render style. You can do a single line. And what it's going to do is it's going to run the effect. We'll shorten that so you can see it run up each arm. See how it runs up the arm. And per model single line will do just through the arms, and it'll put the arms one after another. And in this instance, it's left to right. That doesn't mean it's going to the left. It means it's going in order of the way that they were built, left to right or top to bottom. And you can reverse the angle to check it that way. Sometimes when we apply effects to submodels, most of the time, most sequencers aren't going to open this up and double click and put their submodels into, they're not going to sequence their submodels in the sequence screen this way most of the time. There are probably some sequencers who do that. So, and there's no wrong or right to doing that in xLights. So one of the things that you probably want to do is begin kind of organizing your submodels. And one way that we can come up with to do that would be to go back into the dialog box and look at the submodels that we have. Now, I didn't get into I want to get into the reverse row here in a second, but I also want to use another feature here in xLights before we do. I'm going to copy this submodel. Now we have arms B-1, and we can actually call this something a little bit different. Arms opposition. So why would I do this? Well, there are some really interesting things that we get to do in xLights, and one of those things might be individually going to each one of these rows. I'm going to skip the first one and go to the second one, and I can reverse a row. And I'm going to skip one and go to this one, and I can reverse a row. And some of you who already understand what I'm doing are like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. If I click OK here, and that saves the functions of this arms opposition, and we go back into the submodel and apply the effect, it's not going to look like this. It's going to look a little bit different. And so see how they're going even, odd. One's going in, out, in, out, in, out, versus what we had before, which was it was going from the outside to the inside, or the inside to the outside. Oh, that's bounce. Sorry. There we go. There's the inside to the outside. And if you take that down here, you can see now it's almost like it's zigzagging in and out. But another thing is if you go to default and we let's shorten it so you can see it here a little bit better. Maybe we need to make it a little bigger. There we go. You can see how one set of effects are going in and another set of effects are going on the outs from the inside out, and the other set of effects are going from the outside in. Now, I know this is a small model. I can't. There's no need for me to go and do this on a big model because it takes way longer. That's why I selected the smaller model to kind of jump in and do the smaller version, because the more submodels that we make, which we can make tons of submodels, trust me, there are things that are built into spinners that people haven't thought of yet, that I've thought of. I could show you one, but in any event, this is just one thing that you can do with submodels to give yourself a different set of effects from sequences that you're already mapping in. You could split some effects that already have arm sequencing from a spinner. You could split them into two different subgroups, and that's kind of the advanced side of it. But you don't have to do that. You can just go with how the sequencer originally intended for it to be. I'm going to show you this too here. Let's do from head. You can see this kind of fades out some of those pixels, and you can see a little bit more of that specific movement where they're going in opposition. So let's go back here, and let's go back into the dialog, the submodel dialog. And I want to show you another option, something that will eventually you're going to have to see and figure out for yourself on how to get certain things accomplished. Over here on this side of the column here, we have arms B. We can right click, and when we have, I call this stacking submodels. If you create a stacked submodel, you can split them into individual submodels by selecting the submodel, right clicking on it, and splitting it. And so from here you have arms B, and it's given it and you can move these around too. You can click and drag. They should move around pretty good. There we go. So arms B-1, arms B-2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you don't like the fact that xLights put them in this order, you are more than welcome to rename them and put them in the order that makes more sense to you. And so once you have this ability, once you have this function built into your submodel, then we can come over here and we can click this little greater than sign beside the model. And once you click it, it turns into a little caret that points down, and we'll expand this screen. And now we can see, hey, we've got all of our lists of submodels that are over here, and we can see these. And so if you open up your other, your xLights layout, and you're not familiar with submodels, you can just look for any model on your list. And if it has a little caret or an arrow that looks like this, a little greater than sign, you can go open this up and have a look and see which submodels are available in your prop. So from here, I'm going to begin organizing or sorting some of the items that are in here, and I'm going to put them in groups because most sequencers are going to sequence groups of submodels together, and so it makes sense to kind of group the like things to the like things, and that's what we'll begin with. I'm going to hold the shift key down. I clicked on the first arm there, and I'm going to click on the last one with the shift key held. It selects them all, and we can right click, and we can now do something called create group from selections. And in this dialog box, we get the chance now to give our submodel a name. So I always start with the main prop's name, which is spinner. And so that's what I always call any of the submodel groups. It's easier to find the list this way. At first, when we started doing this, I didn't exactly think the way that I do now. So a couple of our older props, the original props, the way that we set them up, we never changed them because it was the same thing we had done in our other layout, and I didn't want to break anything, so we kind of stuck with it as we went along. So this is spinner, S-P-I-N-N-E-R, and then these are what I would call arms. You could call them spokes, you could call them whatever you want. I like calling them arms. And by arm, I'm just saying it's an extension of the center, usually from the center out to the edge. You could call them spokes. If you have snowflakes, we have we use something called a snowflake arms group, and that just makes it easy and recognizable. Oh, it's an arm. It goes out from the center outward to the outside. That's, you know, one arm of the snowflake or two arms of the, you know. So we're going to go ahead and create this group. It's kind of logical to call it arms because that's what it is. If it makes sense to you, call it spokes. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But now what this does for xLights in our sequencing tab, and we have to now go into display elements and add this to our sequence. Now this gives us a little bit different of a way to start sequencing with things. So if I come in here and I grab this effect, we'll delete it and we'll paste it up here. Now, is it going to be any different than what we did before? Now, it looks like our model preview isn't nice and thick. Let me go back and fix this. So I know you need to be able to see this. Let's go down to appearance and we'll pump it up. Pump it up. There we go. That's plenty. You should be able to see this now. There we go. Yeah, you definitely can see that. There we go. What? Okay, we'll stay in 3D. 3D doesn't hurt anything. There we go. We'll get rid of this one. Okay, so now you got your spinner arms with green, and we have the spinner here. I'll go ahead and delete the purple. We should be able to have no problem seeing this. So here's your single strand effect going across a group. So the first thing you're going to notice whenever you're dealing with a group and you place an effect, a default effect, onto a group, the default is for xLights to render it not per each thing that's in the group, but as the group as a whole. So if we had two of these models and we had them side by side, and xLights would say, and we had all of their submodels in this group, xLights would say, hey, this is the group, and it would put all the submodels in one little group, and it would run this effect left to right. So we use something called render styles to change it whenever we're in a group form. So if you're mapping sequences and you're mapping from, let's say, one of our groups into your individual submodel over here, some of these render styles may not look the same to you, and you might have to edit them. So creating a group of submodels so that it makes it easier for mapping your sequences, not just from us, but from every other vendor that you order from. That is a very important step for you guys. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to do per model default. Well, I have to select it first. Silly. Default, per model default. And as you can see there, now it looks more like a shockwave or a starburst. And once you get that understanding that this is kind of how putting these submodels together is important, it's very useful to have them kind of preset. Now, I want to go back in, and I don't like 3D. There we go. Let's go in and scroll back up here. Let's go to the submodel dialog. There we go. Now, I want to do the opposition real quick because it'll probably come across a little bit differently now, or possibly will come across a little bit differently now. We'll go ahead and split these off. Here's opposition 1 through 12, and we'll click OK. If we expand this, now we have a significant number more of submodels. Select those all. You can click and hold the control key as well. You'll find that whenever you have a big long list and you scroll with your mouse wheel up and down, clicking with the mouse wheel and holding the control key in Windows allows you to make your selection. Now you can right click and you can create group from selection, and we call this spinner arms O for opposition. So now if we come back out here again, we have to go into display elements. Anytime we add something new to the layout, when we have a sequence open, we have to grab it and add it to our master view and put it in the master view list on the display elements. Once you do that, and then you save the sequence, it'll be in there for the sequence whenever you go to utilize it. So keep in mind, this is what it looks like on this effect, and I'm going to place the same effect here. There we go. And that's kind of what it looks like there. It kind of looks the same as the other one did, but now it is individually set up. So one of the things that I want you to know that there is a difference when you are using this submodel here. I call this stacked versus all of these individual ones in a group. If we put arms B into a group, it's going to act a certain way. There are some render styles that don't act exactly the same way, that you'll get maybe a little variation on the final output of the sequencing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go now to arms B, right click, and I'm going to add selections to existing group, and I'm going to call this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back. Sorry. Silly Clyde. Which one did I put it in? Okay, silly Clyde. 10, 11, this is too big. There we go. 12, 1 through 12. Did I put it in this one? I know I hit it. Okay, maybe I didn't do it. Anyway, so anyway, I want to right-click, create group from selections, and I'm going to call this spinner arms B. And this is just a test group. I just want you to see that we're using the stacked set of submodels versus the arms B, which is all individual models. And there can be variations on them, right? So here is this, and then we'll move this one. Whoop. Oh yeah, we added a group. We have to come over here to display elements, and we have to put it in here. Boom, there we go. Now we can sequence on it. So that's one there that says default. If we go to per model default, those seem to look the same because they're set up to do the similar thing. Some of the variation that you're going to find is the horizontal stacked and the horizontal stacked. Let's try that on both of them. So notice what happens whenever you have individual submodels in a group versus a stacked set of submodels. This is stacked on the group. Notice the difference of what they're doing. So this is why it's important to pay attention to how some sequencers have built their submodels and how they're sequencing them, because they may use a render style like horizontal stacked that gives you this kind of a chase per each of the submodels versus this quite looks like in the horizontal stack when stacking those submodels. It looks, whenever you have these submodels stacked right there. So that's all of them stacked. It's only getting the information one, and it's giving that information out to all of them at one time. So be very aware of how the sequencer, and this is why it's important for you to be able to open up and look at oh, you can't see the example because it's behind my face. Ha! Sorry, YouTube. Ha! Sorry. Okay, we'll try that again. There you go. Can you see it now, Mark? There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that. So there's the difference, Mark. Poor guy. I'm showing stuff and my head's covering it up. In any event, you have to be careful. You need to be ready for this. We don't change our layout, so how our layout is set up, we tend not to change it, but other sequencers may have multiple versions of different submodels that look the same but act differently. For example, the opposition arms, there may be some sequencers that have every other arm and they do two different effects on two different groups and it gives them a different look. I don't feel the need to go into that because I can do that with different techniques in xLights and ways I like to sequence. So, and layer blending, I can do a lot of cool stuff with layer blending. So I try to keep it very, very simple whenever it comes to the submodel dialog and having what you need and being able to build the submodels. I think that's probably the most important thing, is kind of understanding this submodel dialog versus trying to add as many submodels as possible. Organizing them is key. Having them organized and understanding how that they possibly could look different depending on who the original sequencer was and what submodels they put them on. Very important points. So if I go back into the submodel dialog, Let me, and I don't know why, whenever you put an effect on it, it remembers the effect and it displays it here. It's kind of neat, but it does do that. There's always more submodels, and this is where I want you to begin to think creatively about the submodeling process. I'm generally a left to right or clockwise kind of submodeler. xLights actually put those in the reverse order. I like going clockwise, so mine typically go from the 12 o'clock position all the way around clockwise to return. But this submodel, this would be your outer ring or your spinner ring. We would call this the spinner ring group in our submodels. There really isn't any simple way to create this unless the developers did come up with something that I don't know about. But a perimeter, I don't know. There might be a perimeter. Build me a perimeter? I don't know. I don't think so. But in any event, it's simple to come in here and click and drag. But it's also very, very tedious. This is one thing whenever you get started with doing submodels and trying to get the most out of the most extra effects that you could throw onto a prop. That can it's just another thing that comes along. What was I going to name this? Outer ring. OUTRRING. So there is our outer ring. Another submodel that we like to use, I like to call it radiation. I don't know. Robert doesn't seem to care for it very much. And I'm just going to do one, and hopefully the tool will pick it up. And I start in the middle, and I go outward, and then I come back inward on the next line. And I think we said the symmetrize, we said 12 on this before. Well, there'll only now be 6 of these. So if we tell it to see if it can find 6, we'll specify the aspect ratio, we'll count the center node, and lo and behold, it looks like 6 of them. And now that we have it, we'll call this radiation. Had a brain fart there. And I could come over here, and I like to split these. So there's radiation 1 through 6. I'll save that. We'll come down here. We'll select them all. Right-click, create a group from selections. And we'll call this spinner. And we actually call it spinner alert. I didn't want radiation in the group names. So let's go back in. Let's have a look at what that might possibly look like. And this is one of my favorite groups. I do like to play with this submodel group a lot. We'll close that up, and we'll throw this onto it, and we'll close the display elements, and we'll have a look. So this is horizontal stack. If we go to per model default, it goes out and does a little twisty, and then comes back in. It's one of my favorites. I like playing with the cycles on this. You can have a lot of fun with playing with cycles on the radiation side symbol if you want. Another one, and so if you want to have some fun and you want to do some different stuff with the spinner submodel specifically, and I never went any further with this, but there are inside here something we can have fun with is we can have fun with the letter V. I know it says VS like verse, but V or V's, the letter V, you can come in here and begin building the letter V like this, maybe, if you wanted. Oops, I grabbed 2 of them there. I need to zoom in a little bit. And I know I can grab that center one. We haven't grabbed the center one yet. And that's a letter V. Let's see if we can come up with 6 more of those. I don't know if it. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to grab the center one in all instances, but we can try, right? Why not have a little bit of fun? We know that this specific model, there's going to be 6 instances of these because there's 12 arms, and we're using 2 of the arms per. And we'll just go through it, use the center node, and poof, there we go. If we click on all of them, there we go. It looks like it found all the letter V. So this is something you can have a little bit of fun with. the opposite of the letter V, and not exactly the opposite of the letter V, but the opposite of the submodel we just drew was this right here. And so this is something that you possibly could have a little bit of fun with and do a couple different things with. So we could do right click, symmetrize. We know that we can do this 6 times rather. Specify aspect ratio. We'll just click OK, and there's the defaults to all of those. So what do we call this? I don't know. V, outer V. I don't know. That's the name. Poof, there it is. We'll come in here. We'll add those to our display elements. Let's give them a try. I know we created them. Didn't we create them? Master view. Reset. Did we not create them? We did not create. Oh, we did not create them. We just created them there. We need to create a group. Create group. V's and outer V. Right click. Create group. Outer V's. There we go. Now there's groups. Ha! You can grab them both, bring them over, put them on here, and let's have a little bit of fun. Let's see what they do. So here, let's get rid of this. There we go. If you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them in chat. We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. I see that there's one on YouTube. I'll get to you in just a second, Mark. So this is a way to just access the outer parts of the spinner alert group. I think that's neat because you could do some interesting things with that. And then you have the V's, the inner V's, which go in and out, in and out, in and out. And maybe if we had them both going, and let's change the color so that there's a little differentiation. Let's do purple. And that's something fun to play with, you know. This is one of the joys of coming up with submodels and kind of designing your own thing. I've never actually put this out there. This is definitely something that I've thought about doing in the past. That I thought, oh well, you know, if I had the inkling to add more submodels, what might come up with what might you come up with an old prop like a spinner, because spinners are pretty common now, and there's high definition versions that do a lot more cool stuff. So maybe these aren't as exciting, but I hate getting rid of props that I really like. So this is something I might go and do to them. Another example of this might be, let's say you had a candy cane. I'll jump over and very briefly do this because I think this is hopefully it can get one. Let's see. Candy cane. There we go. So here's a candy cane. They may even have one in there. They don't. But one of the things that you might consider doing is taking the time to build your own submodels. And you could build submodels based on the diagonals on these little pixels right here. And you could create a diagonal here, and you could candy stripe a candy cane. And so you could pick a stripe here, leave a space, pick a stripe here, leave a space, and that's doing that here simply in the submodel dialog. And being able to build it here, because you could just start drawing and it doesn't hurt anything. And so you could turn the submodel on white, and then the candy cane could be doing the candy cane effects, and the white's on there so people automatically know that it's a candy cane. So just some fun that you can have, a lot of fun that you can have with submodels. And I think that kind of breaches the anything further than that's going to breach the idea of the what do I call it? The intro side of it. There's a lot more on submodels that you can learn about. I'm going to jump over to Mark's question here because he asked it first. Mark said, when mapping sequences from two different vendors, when one does stacked and another does individual, is the fix to recreate the submodel or bulk edit the render style? So the true answer to that, Mark, is going to be you need to build a group that is specific for that sequencer's submodel. where in our instance, I stack the arms in the snowflakes on our Ice Queen, and that's what I sequence on. So it comes out a little bit differently if they are individual arms, and I won't say I'm disappointed. I wish I would have known more whenever I built submodels back then, or I would have taken more care. But this is how we learned this: is we learned that if we just stick with one way and people stick with that way, then you're going to get the effect. Now, most of the time, if you want it to look identical, you absolutely have to go in, look at how they did it, and build it the way that they build it. So, for example, if you have your spinner arms or your spinner arms that are stacked, and we'll go into it real quick, submodels, because now we've gone through a couple of them, and I don't want to get them confused. Here, spinner arms B was one where we stacked them all, and they go center out. If that's how they created the submodels, and yours are individual groups of 1 through 12, if that's the way yours are, then you want to come in here, and you want to take yours, right-click, and join. So you can join them. Now, what it does, it leaves them alone, leaves them up there. It just gives you a new one. This would be arms B combined. And so now that you have that arms B combined, even though before they weren't combined, you can combine them really quickly. Click OK, and let's say this is how Showstoppers does his. I'm not saying he does or doesn't. I'm just saying, for example, another sequencer, you've got your arms B combined. You can come over here, create group from selection, spinner, arms, and call this Showstopper. And then you'll always know that this is for the Showstopper prop that you're trying. That's the best way, Mark, to kind of, in my opinion, I think that's the best way to handle it. Or name it exactly the same group that he's using it as. That would be helpful as well. So I hope that answers your question, Mark. Thank you very much. And then I also got one from Joe here in chat. We'll answer that real quick, and then we're going to call it quits for the evening. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead, throw them in chat real quick, or jump in the Zoom room, and we'll continue the discussion after we're done being live. What is the best way to update a props submodels? Is there are new submodels if there are new submodels from a vendor? So, what you're asking is, let's say a sequencer has created new submodels, and that's one of the things we try to avoid doing because it makes it more work for you in the end. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to download their model, and you're going to have to combine the models together that have additional data. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to Control-C. I have the spinner that we created with all these submodels in it, and I'm going to Control-V. And notice, this is one of the nice things that the developers have done. If you have submodels that you've created, and they are in groups, existing groups in your layout, and you created, you copy and paste it, what xLights will do is it will manage the submodel groups, and it will apply those submodels that you just pasted and put it into the same groups as the original groups has. Thereby, we look at, this is the first one, and here's our second one. See how that's called spinner 23-inch-2. If we come up here now to the spinner groups, and they all have the same ones. If we come in down here and click on all of them, they all have the same submodels, and they're built exactly the same way. And that's thanks to the magic of xLights. The developers outdid themselves when they did this. But so to Joe's question, let's say there are crazy new submodels in a prop that he found from another sequence vendor, and they happen to have. I wanted to click add. Now we're going to call this crazy new. and let's say they had this crazy, and I'll use draw mode here. If you click on draw mode, you can click and drag, and you get the chance to. It's the selection. It's what the selection tool used to be in xLights, but we don't need that anymore because it's built into this, and it builds node ranges in two with the commas here. But this is the crazy new submodel. What does it do? Who knows? But this is the new submodel that has been added to Joe's sequence store for Joe. And Joe downloaded this model, and Joe wants to combine this with his existing model. So what does he do? He imports this model, and then he identifies the model he already has that's the same one, and he looks at the name. You look at the name, and here's Joe's new model. This is the downloaded from Joe's sequence store, and Joe's sequence store, it has these submodels, that one extra new submodel in it, crazy new. We can right click and we can import, or we can import from it. We can replace a model with this model, and in this process, this will take you through the replace a model with a model, and this is where you select. This is if you have a big long list. That way, that's why I said you click on the first one to make sure you know the name that you want to replace it with. And so what will happen is this will merge the submodels together. It won't duplicate the models, and then it gives you the chance to to replace it in the exact position where it was. So now if we click on this and we see the spinner 23 inch, and we scroll down and we see now we have the crazy new. That's one of the ways that you could do that. Now I'm going to Control C, Control V. I'm duplicating again, and I'm going to leave this one alone here, and I'm going to come back over to this one. We're going to create another new submodel, because you can never have too many submodels, right? We'll call this Crazy Joe. What do you think, Joe? Now, I don't know. We'll grab this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. New spinner submodel. I'm just coming up with it as I go. No, not that one. This one. There we go. So that's one. We could actually symmetrize that maybe 3 times. Yeah, look at that. Hey, I just come up with a new submodel out of nowhere. Ain't that cool? Okay, so here's your Crazy Joe submodel, Joe. And you click OK, and you've imported it. Now, the other way that you can get that submodel in there without replacing your model is to go into the submodel dialog over here. And we've selected the one you want to import to. You can click the import, and you can import submodel from a model. And now it gives you the list of the models that are available. Click OK. And here it will check all the boxes for everything. You can right click and deselect all, and just scroll down to the one that you want to bring in. Here's your Crazy Joe. Click OK, and that's your option to add that into the prop. And if you wanted to, you can just delete that. It can go away. And you brought it in. It's over here, Crazy Joe's new Crazy Joe's submodel. So there you go, Joe. Does that help you? I don't know that it would or not. I'm not going to go. Nope. All right, and I'm going to continue the conversation in the Zoom room here. You're welcome to stick around and ask questions, and we're going to jump over to our PPD. I don't want to call it After Dark, because After Dark happens around 10:30. That's about an hour from now. So we open it up to everybody, and we do open mic after this as well. So you're welcome to join us if you're in Zoom or if you're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, jump in the Zoom room. You're welcome to join us. That's everything I have for you. Great having you all. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope that you are getting ready for the Halloween season, the Christmas season. It is time to get everything going. So by all means, get at it, guys. Don't forget that you're making memories. You're bringing people together. and you're doing great things in the area that you're at, and you're inspiring other people. So don't stop doing that. Have a great week. Enjoy yourselves, and we will see you in the next video, guys. Take care, and goodbye for now.